Hey, it's always wonderful to have you up here with me. Thanks for spending time with me. All right, so today we're going to continue our paper bag puzzlers, and as you can see, I had to go with a bigger paper bag because there's some bigger things in there. So I'm going to ask Gloriana and Audrey, there are two things in there. If you could reach in and get those things. All right, come on up here and hold them up so everybody can see what they are. Does anyone know what that is? A whiteboard. So what would you use this for? Mackenzie? To write. You could use it to write. And when I didn't have much of a voice, I did rehearsals with this whiteboard, right? The thing I like about the whiteboard is if you go ahead and make a mistake, what's really easy to do? Erase it, right? Woo! I love it. And if you don't like what you said or what you wrote, what can you do? And I get a whole nother chance, right? You get a redo. That's what I like about the whiteboard. Now, what does this have to do with our lesson? I'm going to let you guys put that back in the bag for me. And we're going to talk a little bit about our gospel lesson, okay? So let me set the stage for what's going on here, okay? Jesus is with a group of people again. And this group of people, they're really sharing some difficult information and kind of getting at some difficult things that they're thinking about. So in this, there's some bad things that have happened in the community. One bad thing happened during worship, and Pilate made a really bad choice, and people were hurt. And then they ask, well, did these people sin? It's like, no, that's not how it works. It's not because you do something bad, then something bad happens to you. Now, the reason they were thinking like that is because they also had something else happen recently. A tower fell down and people were hurt. So again, they're wondering, well, the people who were hurt by the tower, were they worse sinners than the people who were hurt in worship? And Jesus knows that they're getting it wrong. They're thinking about this wrong. So Jesus knows he needs to do something else to help them understand, to help them see things differently, okay? So Jesus tells a parable, a story. And I know many of you were in Sunday school, so can you tell me the name of the parable or what the parable's about in today's reading? What kind of a tree? Fig tree, right? Okay? So there's a problem. The fig tree's been in this garden for 3 years, and it hasn't produced any fruit. It hasn't produced any yummy, delicious figs, right? So the owner looks at it as, well, it's taking up space in my garden, and it's taking all the nutrients out of the soil that could be shared with things all around it, so it's time to chop it down. But the gardener goes to the owner and says, wait a minute, let's give it a little more time. I will make sure to fertilize the soil. I'll make sure it has enough nutrients, and I will take care of it, and let's see what happens in the next year. So now the really, I think, cool thing about parables is that we get to wonder about what exactly is Jesus trying to teach us here. I think he might be helping people understand what God's love and grace is all about. I wonder if maybe God is like the gardener, giving us all second chances, third chances. And no matter how hard we try, we're going to sin, right? We're going to make mistakes. We're going to make bad choices. But in the first part of this, Jesus talked about a word, a rather churchy word. It's called repent. And that means to turn around. So when we make mistakes or bad choices, we pretty much know when we've done them, right? And so we could say, I'm sorry. And we ask God for forgiveness. And you know what God does? God forgives us. But here's the other part. need to turn around and try not to do it again, right? That's the repenting part, trying not to do it again. And then when I heard this parable, I also wondered, I wonder if God's trying to teach us, I wonder if Jesus is trying to teach us something about being patient. Because it took a while, and we don't really know if the tree gave fruit later. But waiting another year, that's kind of like being patient. Or I wonder if he's saying, sometimes we can't see things on the surface. Sometimes we need to look a little deeper. So when we're being patient and trying to see things in new ways, that's when beautiful things can happen. Our song, beautiful things, the way we started our service, because that fig on the tree is a beautiful gift from God, okay? And when we bear fruit, our fruit is sharing God's love with others. And God is right there to help us, right there giving us what we need, cheering us on to be the person that God created us to be. So, would you please be my echo and pray with me? God, thank you for surprising gifts. Help us remember that we can't always see everything. Thank you for beautiful things. Thank you for second chances. Now I invite you to either return to your seats, to go to kids' church, or join me in the parlor, 3rd through 6th graders, for Come and See.